To the Point with Congressman Bill Pascrell.
Flashback, October 18th this year, New York Times, an article by Gordon Goldstein. He wrote this. He was talking about the Bay of Pigs and late President Kennedy making decisions. This is the writer writing. The botched Bay of Pigs invasion was a humiliation that Kennedy believed would have driven him from office if he had been a British Prime Minister. He vowed never again to be overawed by professional military advice. And it concludes by saying this: that same year, Kennedy was shocked by the half-baked recommendation of his generals to use tactical nuclear weapons against the communist Pathet Lao movement in Laos, a proposal he decisively dismissed. How do you interpret this in terms of modern times?
Well, you know, it's something every president has to go through, is to, again, walk into the Oval Office and have to make these huge decisions that involve whether or not we're going to go to war, whether or not we're going to confront an enemy. And, you know, when presidents do that, intelligence people come in and tell them what the intelligence is. Military people come in and tell them what the military strategy should be. If you're suddenly facing a bunch of guys in uniforms with a lot of medals on it, it can be a pretty intimidating experience.
For anybody.
For anybody. And particularly young presidents. You know, you're in there for the first time, you're facing these kinds of issues. And what it means is you've got to be willing to challenge. You've got to be willing to ask questions. And that's why I respect what President Obama did, because he could have just said, oh, you need this many troops, signed off on it. But he said, no, I want to know. I want to ask questions. I want to know what consequences are going to be. And that's what you want before you make that kind of decision.
And you want the Congress to ask questions, too. You were a congressman.
Yes, indeed.
You had a leadership position here. Because we don't send, you were on the Intelligence Committee.
That's right.
But we can't simply abdicate our responsibilities, if you're not on that committee, and say, well, you make the decision and you recommend to us what you think we should be doing. I think when you're talking about what's happened over the last 8 or 9 years, that it's not only the president, it's the Congress.
That's the nature of our process.
And it should be.
It needs to be a partnership.
Right.
It doesn't need to be confrontational.
Right.
I mean, there are always politics, and I understand that. But frankly, on the major issues confronting this country, it has to be a partnership. And I've always approached it on that basis that, even though I'm in the executive branch, I can't do this job unless I have the trust and partnership of the Congress. And that means I've got to be willing to tell them what's going on. It means that they've got to be able to ask me questions about what's going on. We have to have a relationship of trust. And if we can have that, then, as tough as these decisions are, I think the right decisions will be made on behalf of the American people.
Do you think that in the short time that you've been the director of the CIA, that the Congress has treated you fairly and openly in terms of getting you here to testify on the Hill? We're good at calling a lot of people in to testify. You have nothing else to do but testify to us. But do you think that you've been treated fairly in your new position?
Well, the greatest advantage I've had, frankly, is I'm a creature of the Congress. I served here for 16 years.
So you know what to expect.
I know, I was sitting on the other side of the table.
Right.
I was asking those questions. I know what to expect. I know what's involved with the staff work to try to go through these issues. And so I have a great deal of respect for this institution. And if you have respect for the institution, then I think members understand that and you can kind of work through it. One of the challenging things, frankly, coming into this job was that, there was a lot of distrust and a lot of anger about what had gone on. And what I had to do is to basically say, look, I don't want to get trapped by the past. We have got to focus on the present and the future. And thankfully, I think the members of the committees that I deal with, members of Congress I deal with, understand the most important thing we have to do is face the present challenges, because that's what counts in the future.
Director Panetta, we're going to come back in a minute. We're going to take a very brief break. We're going to come back. This thing goes very quickly. I got so many questions to ask you. Again, thank you. And we'll be back in 1 minute to talk to our great director, Leon Panetta. We're back with Director of the CIA, Leon Panetta. and you have done such a fantastic job so far, and I hope you'll put up with me for another 15 minutes. Leon, let me ask you this. We're talking about advising the president, talking about protecting our children, our families, our neighborhoods, and the CIA's role. By the way, I am not adverse to talking it and saying it like it is, talking about it and saying it like it is, that the job of the CIA is to provide, if necessary, espionage. We're afraid to use that word. Why are we afraid in the Congress? Why are we afraid? And even wild-eyed right-wingers, why are we afraid to use the term espionage?
Well, you know, I mean, look, this is a democracy, and in a democracy, we like to be transparent. We like to say that, you know, what you see is what you get, and that we can kind of deal with each other openly. And we don't like the idea that there are people that are actually out there spying, looking at trying to find secrets, operating undercover. But yet, I think deep down, both people in the Congress, the president, everybody understands that you can't protect the security of this country unless you have people out there who are willing to put their lives on the line in order to find out what's going on.
And they are putting their lives on the line.
Absolutely. We have a wall at the CIA in which we have 90 stars on that wall, and they represent people who have lost their lives in the line of duty. Some of them, we can't even say what their names were because they were operating undercover.
Right.
But that tells you a lot. They have to put their lives on the line. They've got to be able to find out what our enemies are thinking, what they're doing. I mean, just take Al-Qaeda, for example. Al-Qaeda attacked our homeland, you know, killed thousands of people here in this country. We have to have people who are willing to go out there in the middle of nowhere in Pakistan and try to determine where are these people located, what's happening, so that you know, we can then take action.
Every CIA member, past and present, that I've met, I feel very comfortable with. I feel that this guy or gal really gets it and understands it, and will do whatever is necessary in this democracy, but may have to take that extra step at times in order to protect this democracy, because this is not child's play.
That's right.
What I am concerned about is when I look at the qualifications to get into the Central Intelligence Agency, they're pretty high standards. You have to have a degree. You have to know some languages here. Oh, by the way, it is the CIA that taught us that, geez, wouldn't it be great if we're going into a country and perhaps contemplating some action that we know something about their culture? Most Americans didn't even know where the heck Afghanistan was. And 9/11, which is a sad situation about this. We don't know the culture. We don't know the language. The CIA has standards. Now, here's my concern as a congressman, as a husband, as a father, as whatever you want to call me. And that is, I know what the standards are for the CIA. That is gathering intelligence. That is in maybe on the other side of enemy lines. We can't talk about that. That's a possibility.